be back.
The 6th of May, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora. So, Phil, you're wearing your high school shirt?
Yeah, well, call it the high school I taught at. Yes.
Oh, that you taught. I was going to say, it's been a long time since you've been in high school. That must be an old shirt.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a lot, but I keep forgetting because it's like each year there's a different shirt.
Right, right. Ah.
Okay, welcome back, Lou, and good morning to Phil. Okay, Bava Metzia. Let's see where we're holding here. Looks like we're right in the middle. So we'll go back to Amalei Reb Zera Reb Asi, also in the middle, but okay. Yeah, okay. That's the best we can do. Yeah.
17A2. Amarle Rev Zera Rev Asi. Rev Zera said to Rev Asi, Mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi.
Yeah.
Really say this?
Yeah.
Ha at hu de amras mish may to Rabbi Yochanan. But you are the one who said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Star Shelava bo ufirao, that if a debtor has a note that he once used in order to borrow, and he subsequently repaid the loan recorded therein, eino choser velove bo, he may not borrow again with the note a second time. Shekavar nimchal she buto, for the lien recorded therein has already lapsed.
The shibud is referring to the lien. Right. In other words, what is we referring to when we refer to the lien? Every loan document that has signatures on it, so it's gives it a status of a written loan document, and a written loan document creates a shibud on to be toref the property of the lova in the event that the lova doesn't pay the loan that he owes. So, for example, if the lova, let's say the loan document it says Rosh Chodesh Iyar. It was made on Rosh Chodesh Iyar, this loan document. So that means that that from the time of Rosh Chodesh Iyar, any property that the loiva sells his property to a purchaser, any time after Rosh Chodesh Iyar, that property will be put on lien. That in the event that the loiva doesn't pay up to the malva can go to the purchaser and say, I'm taking away your property to pay up the loan that I loaned to the lova, the one that sold you this property. But after the lova pays that loan up, after he pays up that loan, so now that shibud is canceled. Kvar nimchal shibudo. The lien under that loan document is already canceled. So he can't use that loan document a second time to be toref from a purchaser of the lova. Okay, so that's what it's saying over here. Kvar nimchal shibudo. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan said. So now, Rabbi Yochanan said that's one thing that he said. And what we didn't read today, but we read yesterday, was that Rabbi Yochanan said another thing. That he said, Amotzi shtar chov b'shuk, if you find a loan document in the shuk, on the ground, so what do? Oh, and it says on it, it's got a henpek, it's got a certification that the loan in fact was made, as per the document that it says that there was describing that a loan was made. It was actually made. And not only that, Kasuv bo zmano bo bayom, and the date on the document it was Rosh Chodesh Iyar, and that was the same day that the person found the document in the shuk. So in such a case like that, we say, give it back to the bailim. Give that loan document back to the bailim, meaning to the one that made the loan. Why? Mishum shekasov l'lav, because we don't have any question. If you want to say the loan was never made, as per the document, no, it's got a henpek, it's got a certification that the loan was made. And if you want to say, oh, maybe he already paid it up, we say, no, mishum piroyan, the piroyan bas yoma lo chashinen. We're not choshesh that the loiva is going to pay back the loan on the very same day that the document was written up, and presumably on that day the loan was made. He's not going to pay him back on the same day that he got the loan money. So therefore, give it back to the malva. So those are the two. That's the first statement. Those are the two statements that we are dealing with. And Reb Zera is saying that it can't be that Rabbi Yochanan made the first statement if he in fact made this statement that we read today about the loan document, the shibud of it being excused. And why is that? Now we're going to proceed to read the rest of the Gemora. Amos.
Amos. When did the second loan occur? Ilema lemachar ulioma chara. Day after the first loan, or on a subsequent day, but not on the date written in the note.
In other words, if you'll say that the second loan that he tried to make using this star, which says Rosh Chodesh on it, if he tried to make a second loan on the second day of the month or on the third day of the month, then what?
My area shekavar nimchal shebudo. Why would you teach that that the note is invalid because its lien already lapsed? Tipuk le dehava le mukdam.
Right.
Derive its invalidity because it is predated.
Right. In other words, instead of Rabbi Yochanan in his first statement said that we give back this document that was found in the shuk with the date written at the same date as the date that we found it, because we don't suspect that on that very day, that same day, the loan was paid off. So therefore, we give it back to the malva. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing that he said. That's the first thing that he said, and the second thing that he said is that a loiva who after he already paid off the loan that he made, he can't use that same document that he used for the first loan for a second loan that he would subsequently receive. Why? What's the reason why? Rabbi Yochanan said, because the lien of that first document has already been excused. It's already been nimcha, excused, and therefore that's the reason why he can't use it. So Reb Zera is saying, if we say that the second loan was made on a different day than the first loan was made, so why should Rabbi Yochanan say that the reason that you can't use it is kvar nimchol shibudo, that the lien has already been excused? Why not say you don't need to come on to that reason? The reason why you can't use that you can't use it is because it's called a mukdam. It's invalidated because it's a shtar mukdam. What is a shtar mukdam? A shtar mukdam means that the date on that star precedes the day that the loan was made. So what is it? What's written on this star? Written on the star, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, as per the date it was when the first loan was made. So Reb Zera is saying, if you're going to say that the second loan took place on a different day than Rosh Chodesh, if it took place on the second day of Rosh Chodesh, even on the second day, and even on the third day, it's already invalid, not because of the fact that the shibud has been excused. It's already invalid to use such a document for a second loan because to use that loan that says Rosh Chodesh Iyar for a loan that was made on the second or the third of Iyar makes it a shtar mukdam, and it's puzzle. It's a predated document. Okay. Okay, so since we've already read the Rashi before on this, let's just keep going until we get to the end of the this statement over here that Reb Zera is making over here. So let's continue with Utanan.
Utanan, we learned in the Mishnah. Shtare chov ha muk damin pesulin. Notes of indebtedness that are predated are invalid. I don't get this thing about the predated. Why are we saying it's predated? Why wouldn't he date it the proper day?
Because he's using the document that he used for the first loan.
So he's leaving the date of the first loan on the document and trying to use it again on the day?
Right.
Okay, I see. Ella lav biome. Rather, is it not the same day, on the same day?
Oh.
In other words, he wrote a loan document on day one, and then he wanted to borrow money again on day one. So he said, hey, let's just use the same loan document.
Right, because we're proving that it must be that the second loan was not on a subsequent day, because that would give it a different invalidation. So therefore, in order to say that the invalidation is because of the nimchol shibudo, that the lien was already excused, we have to say that the second loan was made on the same day that the second loan was made, and that'll mean that the second loan was also made on Rosh Chodesh Iyar. So in that case, it would not have an invalidation based upon being a shtar mukdam, based upon being a predated document. So now the only invalidation that it has is kvar nimchol shibudo, that the lien has already been excused based upon the payment for the first loan. But what do we see from all of this? These are the last four words are the whole point of why we said this whole story. Alma.
Thus, par a in she biome. People do sometimes pay a loan on the very day it was contracted.
Wow, you see that? See how we proved that?
Yeah. So I'm imagining that he borrowed the money because he needed it right away for some kind of transaction, and then he found another lender who offered a better deal. So he said, let me borrow from this second guy and I'll pay off the first guy with the money I get from the second guy. Maybe the second loan was for a larger amount than the first loan. Does that make sense?
You'd have to borrow twice as much from the second guy.
Oh, Rabbi, I see you're speaking, but you're muted.
Okay, let's try it again.
Hear anything after I spoke?
When you
Borrow twice as much from the second person.
Right, Roy.
do you see why it can't be that the loan was taken from a different person than the person that made the first loan?
Because his name would not be in the document.
Yeah. So I mean, we're assuming that nothing was changed in the documents.
That's. I mean, can we imagine a reason why such an arrangement would be made? Why would he pay off? Why would he borrow from person A and then pay him off and borrow from him again?
Because he needs more money. He's doing business the whole day. What do you mean? I don't think it's so hard to understand. Right? He got a deal in the morning. He got a good price on the diamond market in the morning, and he needs 50,000 right now. So he got it. And then he sold the diamond. He made 100,000, and now he's got another deal in the afternoon for 400,000. So now he needs 400,000. So he goes back and says, "I need 400,000 now." What's the problem?
The problem is it doesn't say 400,000 in the document. It says 200,000.
Okay, so fine. So say the same amount of money.
So he pays it off and then he borrows it again?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Because he needs another 100,000. What do you mean?
But he's paying it off, so he's not making any extra. He's not getting any extra money.
Oh, so you want to know why is he doing this?
Part of it's day trading. We don't know what rates he's doing things at. I don't need it now.
That's
Do
what
you
you're
need it
asking.
now?
You're asking why is he has the money that he's going to take for the loan anyway right now.
Because when he borrows the money from somebody, he's borrowing it, say, from a Jew. He has to pay it back. And did he pay back interest, or somehow or rather, in some way?
To another Jew, to pay interest to a Jew, that's us or no?
I beg your pardon?
To pay a Jew interest, is that permissible?
I don't know. Apparently not. But
You're not allowed to pay interest to a Jew.
So are we assuming this is a loan from a non-Jew?
I want to say it's not from a Jew.
Well, what I'm getting at is that he'll have to pay back, say it's to a non-Jew, so he has to pay back. He borrowed $100, so he has to pay back $100 plus a little bit extra for the services that the non-Jew provided for him.
So
Yeah, so
I don't know why we have to talk about a non-Jew over here. Doesn't say that we're borrowing from a non-Jew. I would assume that we're talking even about borrowing from a Jew.
yeah, but he has to compensate the person from whom he borrowed, because that person makes his living that way. It's not
Okay,
just
so
that
we have a side question over here. Why is it that he's doing this if he already has the money?
So it might work out that he pays more from the second loan. Anyway.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, so you have an interesting question. You have a question in the Metzias, what we call, sort of like we got a case where the Gemora says, I got a proof when the shore gores 3 times, so he's a mu'etz, and then he does blah 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 blah, and somebody wants to know, how come the shore gored 3 times? Why did he do that? Okay, good question. We got a question over here. Why is he making this second loan over here? But the only way that we can understand the 2 statements of Reb Yochanan, the only way that we can understand them, at least according to what Reb Zeir is telling us, is if we say that the Loiva made 2 loans in one day, and that he paid back the loan already on the first loan. That way, the 2 statements make sense. Otherwise, no, they don't make sense. That's what Reb Zeir is saying. Mm-hmm. So, what we want to hear from this, what Reb Zeir is saying is that we see that there is such a thing that a Jew pays on the day that he makes the loan. That he receives the loan on the same day, received the loan on Rosh Chodesh, he paid it back also on Rosh Chodesh. So, therefore, what do we see from that? We now we're in a pickle because we now we don't know. It's not like we originally said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan for the reason why we give it back to the Bailim if we found it in the Shuk. Because we gave it back to the Bailim after we found it in the Shuk. Why? Because we assumed that the loan was not paid on the same day. And now we see that we can't assume that. That's where the Gemora is going.
All right, I have a scenario that I think might make this understandable.
Okay.
So he borrows the money because he wants to use it for some kind of business deal.
Yeah.
Goes in and contracts he goes in and does the deal.
Right.
So now he has whatever he got as part of the deal. He doesn't have the money because he gave the money to he gave the money to the guy he made the deal with. But now he's got something of value from that guy.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say he bought a car. So now he's got the car.
Yeah.
So now somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'll buy that car from you, and I'll give you X dollars, which is more than you paid for the car."
Okay.
So he says, "Okay, great. Give me the money," and he gets the money. And he says, he goes to the lender and he says, "I got the money. I'm paying you back."
Yeah.
So now he pays him back. Now, in the afternoon, he finds another car. He wants to buy that car. So he goes back to the lender and he says,
okay.
"Send me the money."
Yeah, I got you. At the time that he, in other words, the time that he paid back the first loan, he didn't realize that he was going to need a second loan.
Right.
But he subsequently needed a second loan. So it's still the same day. So he wants to use the same document. Very good. Excellent.
Everything in the document is cool. So now, how does that affect our situation? It's the document is lost. So for some reason, he didn't tear it up. When he paid it off, he didn't tear up the document. Maybe because he knew he was going to try and do another deal in the afternoon.
Oh, so on this, I'm saying that we don't have to say that this whole story took place to that document that got lost. That's a different document. In other words, what we're saying is that this document that we found in the Shuk, right? And it says Rosh Chodesh Iyar on it. we can, Rabbi Yochanan said, you give it back to the owner. Why? Because you don't need to assume that you don't have to worry about the possibility that maybe he paid it back today on Rosh Chodesh Iyar. Okay, that's that document that was found in the shuk. Okay,
Right.
now Reb Zera comes along, and Reb Zera says, 1 second, how could it be that Reb Yochanan said that? Did he really say that? Why? What's the problem with Reb Yochanan saying what he said? Because we have a case, we have another statement of Reb Yochanan that Reb Yochanan said that if there's a person who ashtar shalovabo uparo, a star that he used to make a loan with, and then he paid it up. Eino chozer v'lo yivabo. He can't use that same star to get a second loan with, because the lien that was in effect based upon that first loan that was made has already been excused.
I don't understand that. Why would it be excused? It's the same day.
Once the lova pays up the loan, so then the malva doesn't have any more right to take that document and take property away from a purchaser, right?
Until he uses it again, until the lova uses it again, in which case the
No,
snap back into effect. No.
look, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, Jew number 1 lends Jew number 2 money. That's
Right.
and this is all documented in the shtar.
Right.
Okay, so now at this point, that document creates a lien that gives the Jew number 1 the right to take property away from Jew number 3 that purchased property from Jew number 2. That's the shibud that a shtar chov creates.
Right.
Now, how long is that shibud betokef? How long is it in full force and effect? It starts on the day that it says on the document, Rosh Chodesh Iyar. From that day, a loan was made, and from that day, his properties are indentured. They're on shibud to pay back this loan, even if the property is sold to a different party. But so it's from Rosh Chodesh Iyar until when? Until the loiva pays off the loan. The day that the loiva pays off the loan, that shtar now doesn't have any more ability to be used to take property away from Jew number 3. Because why? Because its power was only as long as that loan agreement was due and not paid. But once it's been paid, so then it doesn't have any more ability to get property, right? Just like he can't collect from the lova a second time, he can't collect from the purchaser of the lova either. So that's what we mean when we say kvar nimchol shibudo.
But let's say he wrote a second document for the second loan. instead of using the first document, does the second document now have an effective lien on the same property?
Yep.
So what's the difference if he wrote a second document or he used the first document a second time?
That's a big difference. It's all the difference in the world.
He goes into court with the document. The Malva goes into court. So the third party goes into court and says, I'm losing it now.
How does the court know which document is the correct document?
How does it? This document is not valid for this purpose. It's a loan document. He says, I borrowed money from him and there's a lien.
Because that loan document was covering the loan that the first loan. It was indenturing property based upon the first loan. Once that first loan is paid off, it doesn't have any ability to indenture any property. You think it's just a technical procedural difference? What's the difference? It's the same piece of paper. Why should you have to write it out twice?
Right. That's what I'm having difficulty wrapping my brain around this. But I think I understand what you're saying.
You would understand why. If he didn't make a second loan, you would understand why he couldn't use this. Why does he have to write another document?
Right. That's what I'm struggling with.
How do we know that there was a second loan? Maybe the Malva is going to use it again. Improperly. How do we know that there was a second loan?
Right. All we know is that Jew 1 borrowed money from Jew 2 on such and such a date in such and such an amount. That's true. Whether it's the first one or the second one, in our scenario, it's a true statement.
Oh, 1 second. Maybe let's bring another fact into the story. This document has a certification from the Beis Din that the loan took place. Which loan took place?
And that's going to be
the only certification that the Beis Din put over here was for the first loan. It didn't make a second certification. How could you can't really use that document again.
How do you know that the certification is not for the second loan?
On the contrary, it was clear that it was made for the first loan, and it's clear that it was not made for the second.
How is that clear? The certification says this is the first loan? I don't know there's going to be a second loan, so they can't say this is the first loan.
Then there would have to be a second henpick on the document. You can't use one henpick for two different loans.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if he's got the document, it's got the henpick, and for some reason he doesn't tear it up when he pays. The document's now sitting in his inbox, ready. It's sitting in his to be torn up box.
But
and it says, "Oh, I need to borrow money from Jew number 1 again." So he said, Look at this. This document is all fine. Even the henpeck is good.
How is the henpeck good?
Because what does it say? The henpeck says, we, the court, hereby certify that this loan was made. So as
But
soon
they were certifying the first loan. They didn't certify the second loan. They don't even know about the second loan.
right, but nobody else knows about it either. I mean, nobody knows about the first loan. The second loan is the only thing that anybody knows about at this point. The first loan is history. It's gone. It's paid off. It's done. I don't know. I'm very confused. I think
Okay.
Okay, take care, and we'll figure it out tomorrow.
Take care.
Okay. All the best, everybody. Have a great day.
That was crazy. All right. Thank you, Rabbi. I appreciate your putting up with me.